Hello from Columbus, Ohio. I'm Scott Foltz alongside Jason Dye. Those stories plus some Big Ten slugfest. The SEC takes on the ACC, and we've got a Pac-12 versus Mountain West sleeper that you'll want to keep an eye on.
All that coming up after this. You're watching Sports Talk on CFC, so stick around.
We begin with a Big Ten East versus West matchup as the Nittany Lions of Penn State head to Madison to take on the Wisconsin Badgers. Jay, what are the keys to victory for this game in both teams?
Well, first off, it starts off on Wisconsin's defense. I think you have to look at and question: do they have a bulked up team this year on defense? The answer is yes. The other thing you have to look at: will Mertz be better in year two? He was okay last year, but he really has to limit his turnovers. Wisconsin must improve the running game. The running game was absolutely horrible, and for the history of Wisconsin football, you think of great running backs like Melvin Gordon. They've had a plethora through the years, starting way back when with Ron Dane. The run game finished 62nd last year. 62nd. That's not Wisconsin football.
No, not at all. That's not even Big Ten football.
No. And then for Penn State, Sean Clifford, what do you expect from him? He can do a lot of things. He can run, he can pass. He's an all-around great quarterback for Penn State. Defensively, Penn State is going to rely heavily on linebacker play this year as well. They're going to need their linebackers because I think Wisconsin wants to get back to the running game this year for sure.
All right, so what's your prediction on this game? Call it for us.
Man, I'll tell you what, going to be a Big Ten slugfest. You're looking at Wisconsin with a late score. Defensive stop seals it 24-17. Scott.
24-17, Wisconsin. You heard it here first. Next up, the defending national champion Crimson Tide head to Florida's Magic City and into the eye of the Hurricanes. Jay, even though the Canes have remained a decent program, it's fair to say they've fallen off since their glory days when a kid named Dwayne Johnson struck fear into the hearts of opposing running backs. Does Miami have a chance against Alabama here?
Yes, they do, but first starting on the Bama side, obviously starting last year, we look back at the national title game against Ohio State, who was pretty stacked. First of all, foremost, Bama's got the best linebacker core in the nation. That's what it really starts with. Miami's quarterback, King, he's really got to step up. He's got to be all over Alabama early, but there again, Bama has to find a way to keep King in check. I think it's going to be a really nice test for Bama early. The Hurricane defense right off the bat, they need to set the tone in order to really have a chance against Alabama right on the bat.
All right, so what's your prediction on this one?
It's Nick Saban. It's Alabama. They're going to come out. I think Miami gives them a couple shots in the mouth early, but I think that Bama defense just too strong, 45-14.
Pretty lopsided victory for the defending national champions, but they are the defending national champions. We take you now to the heartland where the Iowa Hawkeyes struggle to regain their former glory against a Hoosier team that may be coming into theirs. Does Indiana keep up their winning ways, or do the Hawkeyes of old make an appearance?
Man, right off the bat, Indiana, very impressive last year, gave Ohio State a fit during the regular season. It all starts with the quarterback play of Michael Penix Jr. He ended up having a season-ending injury, so we'll be checking his status. I think he's pretty much ready to go. And it's also going to be starting with the run game support for Indiana too. The only thing is I don't know who starts. I don't know if it's Baldwin, James, or Carr. Iowa, it's Kirk Ferentz. It's Iowa. They're ready to play football. Petrus, I believe, is going to be more improved, and he should be getting some great support from running back Goodson. And honestly, looking at Iowa, must give Penix fits, and the secondary has to hold up. And Iowa has a pretty good secondary this year, so I look for it to be a really good game, honestly.
All right, call it for us. Hoosiers or Hawkeyes?
Well, I'm going Hawkeyes. I think Kirk Ferentz gets another contract extension after this week, 24-20.
Pretty close game. Out to the West Coast now as the Pac-12 champion Oregon Ducks fly south to take on Fresno State. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the Ducks against the Buckeyes next week. Are they focused on Fresno State this week, or are more concerned with what some might consider a more marquee matchup?
Oh my, I think Oregon could be looking ahead. I mean, obviously Fresno State was, they played last week, had a great start, but I think Oregon could get caught looking ahead a little bit early here. Oregon, very strong team, national caliber team, on the defensive and on the defensive and offensive lines. It really, we're really going to see how well Fresno State handles that defensive line of Oregon. They got some stout dudes, very stout dudes.
All right. And your prediction?
Yeah, just another pop them early, but I think Oregon handles business 45-17.
From the Pacific to the Atlantic, we follow the ACC champion Clemson Tigers as they travel to the Peach State to face the mighty Bulldogs of Georgia. Now, Dabo Swinney lost several key players after last year. Can the Tigers stack up against a seasoned Georgia team?
Oh yeah. So that's a really good question. Georgia right off the bat, great defensive group. Another team that should be stacked on either side of the ball. But Clemson did lose 3 key receivers. But they have plenty to look forward to with the talent of Williams, Ledson, and Nagata, and a tight end Galloway. There's some hype coming around campus too about freshman Bo Collins. I don't really know much about him, but if he's what he's said he's supposed to be,
I'm sure he'll let us know this season.
Yeah, yep. I definitely think that you will see Clemson rely more on the run pass option. You don't have a lot of deep threats established yet. And with the running game of Travis Etienne now into the NFL, which he unfortunately got hurt, and you don't have Trevor Lawrence. So you're actually looking at quarterback DJ Uiagalelei as the next quarterback, but I heard he's a pretty stout dude. And then moving to the Georgia side of the ball, their quarterback, Daniels, he's got a lot more experience than DJ does, 16 games starting versus 2 for DJ. Dog defense must get to DJ early, get to that quarterback early, set the tone, and I think it's gonna be a great one. Honestly, very great early season matchup.
So, do the dogs eat the cats, or the other way around?
Dogs in a stunner, 42-38. I think either way you look at it, Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney, you're looking at both of these guys. They know how to move the ball. They know how to stop the ball. So I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring than what some of the other guys are calling for. So 42-38, Georgia.
All right. It's the Sun Belt versus the Big 12 as the Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana tackle the Texas Longhorns in the Lone Star State capital. Jay, do the Cajuns continue to move out of LSU's shadow in the Bayou State, or will the Horns hook them?
Cajuns are loaded from last year. They're loaded defensively. They have great talent on the offensive side of the ball. The thing is, the offense started falling apart. Now, in their bowl game against Iowa State, Louisiana really took advantage of key turnovers. If the Cajuns can get turnovers early and can really shut down the Texas offense, I really think it's going to be a long night for Texas. And of course, now on the Texas side of the ball, we're looking at new head coach Steve Sarkisian. We know him from last year. He was in the championship game against Ohio State as their offensive coordinator. Brilliant guy. He's got a lot of experience. I think he's going to really start ramping up Texas, try to get them back to national caliber level. It's going to take some time. They're also looking great with Robinson, the running back, and new quarterback Thompson will be placing Sam Ellinger, who went on to the NFL. And defensively, I think they've got a pretty decent defense as well.
So what's your prediction, Longhorns or Cajuns?
I like the Longhorns in this one. Another kind of up there affair, 38-30.
All right. And finally, our game of the week sees the Big Ten champion Ohio State Buckeyes head to the land of 10,000 lakes to face off against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, who've made some noise in the last few years. The Buckeyes lost Justin Fields to the NFL. Will C.J. Stroud be able to take up where he left off?
I really wish I had that answer. A lot of comparisons for C.J. Stroud go to quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, who played, 1-2 years in the Big Ten. Boom, he was off to the NFL. I guess the question really looms: will Ryan Day lean heavy on the running game against Minnesota early? If I know Ryan Day like I think I know Ryan Day, no, there's no. I mean, there's going to be running. There's going to be running in there, but first and foremost, he's a shoot it downfield guy first. C.J. Stroud apparently has that ability,
and Day will do that just to let you know that he's not scared to do it.
Yeah, he's not scared. I mean, and we're not playing
Pop Warner.
Yeah, he's going to
big boy football.
Yeah, he's going to let you know early and often that he is not afraid to take those shots, like you said. The other big question coming out of this is OSU's defense improved from last year? Great on the defensive front, pretty decent linebacker core, but the secondary was horrible, absolutely horrible. And as a Buckeye fan, I can tell you, it was hard to watch. So I'm really looking to see if Kerry Combs got them guys put back into shape playing Ohio State, cornerback football. We're DBU for a reason, so I mean it's about time that they stepped up. On the Minnesota side of the ball, Gophers they're not stacked on defense, but they got a lot of experience. They don't have a lot of the big name players, but they got experience. That counts, especially playing at home, playing a team like Ohio State. I look for him to be heavy on offense, especially with running back Ibrahim. One of the great backs in the country last year. One of the great Big Ten backs last year too. So I see him really going through and pushing forward with what he was doing from last year. And then you have to give Minnesota on the offensive side of the ball a little bit of an experience edge. Well, actually a lot with Tanner Morgan. I think you're going to see him do some great things this year too.
All right. Call this one. Who takes it, Buckeyes or Gophers?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a great one up there in Minnesota. OSU pulls away late third quarter, 38-21.
All right. Well, that's our show. We'll be back next week for a recap of this week's games and some Week 2 analysis. You've been watching Sports Talk on CFC. We'll see you next time.